Can you text them and ask them to get me a triple venti latte?
Do you drink Starbucks all the time?
I drink it every freaking day. Isn't
Really?
that ridiculous?
Decaf or regular?
No, regular. It's just psychological. I don't even know what it is. I can make my own pot of coffee at home, but...
All right, well, look, I want to introduce you, and I did a lot of research, and I was...
Oh, no.
Yeah, because there's some things I want to know about you. I'm a big fan.
If I'm dating Blake Shelton?
No, I don't care about that. I really don't. But here's the thing. Most of us have a descriptor that we use with ourselves. I mean, I'm Michael J., the guy on the radio, Michael J. with 4 kids and all that. So you've got so many possible descriptors. What I'd like to do is read off a list that I've come up with, and then I'd like you to tell me which 2 or so are closest to your heart.
Oh, my.
Okay?
Okay.
So it's Sheryl Crow, daughter, sister, right? You've got 2 sisters and a brother.
Yes.
Mom.
Yeah.
Cancer survivor, musician, singer-songwriter, record producer, TV movie actress, political activist, 50 million albums selling rock star, and now up-and-coming country star. Did I leave anything out?
Oh, my gosh. Former school teacher.
We're just going to get to that part.
Former
but
school teacher.
I guess you should add that. That's important?
Yes. Baton twirler. I do think that you left that one off, but I would say the top 2 for me are mom of 2 and probably singer-songwriter. I mean, at the core of it, that's probably, I love producing and I love performing, but probably being a singer-songwriter is how I got started.
Well, you were talking about being a mom. You've got 2 boys,
yes.
6-year-old Wyatt Stephen and 3-year-old Levi James.
Yes.
Now, what names do you use for them?
You and you second. No,
is that
Pete
it?
and repeat.
All right.
No, I mean Levi and Wyatt and Levi, yeah. And I will tell you that I joke about Pete and repeat. My 6-year-old does it. My 3-year-old's got to go do the exact same thing right after me. He wants to do everything his brother does. It is hilarious.
Well, for
fun.
Anybody that's got little kids, you got your hands full with a 6 and a 3-year-old.
I'm outnumbered, yeah.
Sounds like you got to have help.
I do. I've been really, really lucky. This young gal came and started working for me when Wyatt was 3 months old, and she's been with me ever since. So, and she's in and out.
All right. Well, you're busy. You're a busy lady with all you got going on. Before we get to the new music, I want to kind of find out how you got to this point.
Okay.
All right. So from Kennett, Missouri, your dad a trumpet player, your mom a piano teacher.
Yeah.
So obviously a musical family.
Yeah, very.
And your 2 sisters, Kathy and Karen, and your brother Stephen, are they musical too?
They're all musical. Both my sisters at one point or another taught music. Both of them performed. My older sister who lives in Nashville was a singer-songwriter for a while. Now she works for me, and she actually is really helpful with my kids. And my dad was an attorney, really Atticus Finch, always. They were very big advocates of reading, and they played all kinds of music at home. So I was really exposed to every kind of music. But predominantly in my hometown, we had KBOA and KBXM, all country stations, and a lot of our music came out of Memphis as well. And so I had a pretty great upbringing, really close-knit family. My parents are still alive and married.
So were they like banging over your head how to play the piano and music theory and all that stuff? You have to get it right, the chords, everything you got to get down.
Yeah, and my mom, we had 3 pianos in our house because my mom was a piano teacher, and back in that period, they were into teaching piano by groups. So she had one studio that had 8 pianos in it. So there'd be 2 of us practicing at one time, and one of us practicing across the house in the living room. And she'd be in there cooking, and she'd be like, "Kathy, that's a B flat," Karen.
Right.
Playing the wrong tempo, and then you out here go, "Sheryl, that's James Taylor." You're not playing your lesson.
But it all paid off, though. So you're in the high class. I know it's not polite to give an age. You can do the math. From the high school class of 80 at Kennett High School, it was the Indians, and I understand you were a really big track star. You were a jock.
I was a jock, yeah.
But you were a brainiac, too. You had great grades. No, you did. Because I told you I did some checking.
What my grades were.
Well, I got your grades, and you made the National Honor Society. You're a smart kid.
What can I say? I was just kind of great at everything. I mean, what can I say, Michael? No, I'm kidding.
I guess. And then you went to University of Missouri at Columbia, class of 84. You studied music.
Number 2 party school in the nation, according to Playboy magazine, right under LSU. Continue.
But you had a good time there with the Tigers, right?
They were the Tigers, Missouri Tigers.
Exactly.
I was a recruiter for the football team.
Wow. And while you were doing that and trying to and getting good grades in college, you were a music teacher as well in an elementary school.
I was
teaching. Yeah. So you must have been going.
And I could sew and I could make my own clothes, and I was an excellent cook. I could have been a great wife.
And you played in band. You played in bands at the same time.
I did. I played in a cover band called Kashmir.
Yeah, that was must have been a rock thing.
It was a rock thing. I mean, back in the day, it was like Quarter Flash and
right. It was the
Pat
80s.
Benatar, the 80s, all the greats.
So now I want to understand how you went from Kennett, Missouri, because there's a guy that you met who, and I think his name is Leo. I have to look it up. But you met this guy Jay Oliver.
Oh, Jay Oliver hired me when he heard me sing in a club to come in and do some studio work.
So you were singing for McDonald's and Toyota commercials.
Yeah, I did. And I was teaching, and I was right at the end of my second year of teaching. I did a McDonald's spot. And it was regional out of Chicago. Did it in St. Louis. It got picked up in Chicago, and then it got picked up nationwide. And it's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's. And I was one of many voices that did that.
They're saying it. Don't rush through it. Let me hear it.
Well, that's how it goes.
What did it sound like?
It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's. That was basically it.
Wow.
I mean, you've heard that before.
Yeah, a million
Anyway,
times.
I made $42,000, which that was more than 2 years of teaching.
That's a ton of money.
$17,000 teaching school a year.
Right. But $42,000 for singing one commercial?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hello, where are our priorities? But anyway, so I decided I'm gonna put my reel together, singing jingles and doing demos, and I'm gonna go to LA, and I did. I gave my my notice and said I hope I'll come back to teaching at some point if this doesn't work out, but I want to go try it. So I drove my car, my Renault Alliance, out to LA. Barely made it and didn't know anybody, and I just over like the next 2 months took my tapes around to different studios and tried to get background work. Started getting background work, overheard some singers talking about the Michael Jackson audition, found out where it was, crashed the audition, and I got it. I got to go on the road with him.
When you did the audition for Michael's Bad Tour, was he in the room in front of you?
He wasn't, no, and they just had a video camera, and they had this
gotcha.
guy, his band director, and I stood there and said, "Hi, Michael, my name's Sheryl Crow. I was a school teacher, love to go on the road with you." Sang a couple of things, and then they called me back the next day with 3 guys, and we sang "Mama Say, Mama Sa, Mama Kusa," and she says, "I am the one," and then I got it.
And didn't you do like a duet with him on "I'll Stop Loving You"?
I just can't stop loving you, and also "The Way You Make Me Feel."
Wow.
And Man in the Mirror.
Okay, so I mean, Michael Jackson, obviously, whether you're a fan or not, everyone's aware of who he was.
Yeah.
What was the takeaway that you took from spending time on the tour? I don't know how much time you had with Michael, but
well, I was on that tour for I think
a
the
year,
tour in all
right?
was 18 months.
Okay.
Yeah, I was out with him for 2 Thanksgivings. That's kind of how I measure it. And yeah, it's difficult to really pinpoint because there's nobody I can even compare him to. He's more famous than anybody that's ever lived, as far as I know. As far as performing goes, his fans were just completely sycophantic. I mean, they worshipped him. They slept on the sidewalks outside the hotel. They would cry and faint. It was probably like what the Beatles was like. But he was obviously, I mean, I can't tell you exactly what he was like because he was pretty reclusive. But the one thing that I did get from it is that watching somebody who is that original. I mean, he really created sort of a sound from the time he was 5, but also these moves. I saw somebody in their complete and total divinity, like why it was that he was who he was. But at the same time, you kind of see him also in his real serious fragility. It was just interesting to watch him sort of navigate through that.
Well, Michael Jackson, obviously a huge star, but he's not the only really world-famous caliber person that you've performed with. I mean, Stevie Wonder, Belinda Carlisle from the Go-Go's, Don Henley, who was with the Eagles. When you look back at all these diverse musical talents that you've performed with, which one would have been the most intimidating? Would it have been Michael Jackson or the one that made you the most...
I look at the Michael Jackson tour as having been sort of like, was like taking a master class. Like I was just constantly in learning mode. After that, I went on the road with Don Henley, and then when I put my record out, I got sort of embraced by some established artists as opposed to my peers. Like I wound up playing a lot with Bob Dylan, a lot with Eric Clapton, a lot with Willie Nelson, a ton with Willie, a lot with Emmylou Harris, Stevie Nicks. I've been really, really fortunate to get to play with people that I have loved my whole life.
Have you ever touched Willie Nelson's guitar? You know, the one with the hole in it?
Yes, I've actually gotten to, just to stand there and strum it. And
Wow.
I'll tell you a funny story about that. I was doing so much stuff with Willie at one point when I was coming through customs from Europe. This customs officer stopped me, and I was thinking, oh, please don't go through my suitcases. I want to get home. And the guy was like, can I just say something to you? I was like, yeah. And I'm thinking, what in the world? And he said, I think you're doing a little too much with Willie Nelson. I was like, okay, give me my passport. Let me get out of here. But yeah, he's a dear friend. In fact, he's been a dear friend for years and years and years. So I've always been intimidated to sing with Dylan because I don't know exactly what it's going to be like.
What were you saying?
Exactly. I never know exactly what we're going to sing. He kind of just, tosses it to me. So.
Wow. Well, beyond that, in your professional career, it seems like you've lived in a bubble with your relationships because you've been with, a number of, guys that are pretty high profile. Mm-hmm. Was that difficult? I mean, is that something that you can deal with, or is it really something you hate? Because, I mean, you're always on, every time when you were dating, I'm not going to get into a whole laundry list, but there's just a handful of guys that are real high profile.
Yeah.
And it just seems like, every night on all, Access Hollywood or whatever.
I joked about the Blake Shelton thing. That is what it's like. And I don't know how relationships sustain themselves. But, you do a TV show with somebody and the next thing you know, they're involved.
Right.
And I guess it's my hope that people realize that at least 3/4 of what they see written in these magazines is false.
Right.
But what I would say about that is that even when I've been involved with people that were not well known, relationships are difficult. Anybody that's married, anybody who's been with somebody for a long time knows that it requires a lot of work. And I'm a working person who's gone a lot, and also who gets a lot of adoration every night, whether it's, no matter what that looks like to somebody else, it can be challenging for
a lot of guys can't handle it. Yeah, it's just
it's hard. For one thing, a lot of people can't handle being in a relationship with somebody who's gone a lot.
Right.
That's hard on a relationship.
Well, I mean, if you're really in love, why can't you just be together on the road? You do your thing, and the guy works with you. I mean,
most guys don't want to quit what they do to come out on the road with me.
Well,
I actually have had one do that, and that was even worse than
really didn't work out.
Staying home and
well.
I'm like, wait, I can carry my own suitcase. Thank you.
Well, look, I want to mention one name because Lance Armstrong has said in a number of interviews that your music helped him cure himself with cancer. He gives you credit.
No, he definitely did not say that.
Oh yeah, he had. I mean, it's all over the place.
Well, I would say that he. I don't know. I've never read that. I didn't know him when he had cancer. I met him when he had cancer, actually, at a Wallflowers concert. I didn't know him at all. But that's great. I love hearing that. I love hearing it from anybody because it makes me feel like the music that I'm making has relevance, to people who are going
it does.
Through anything. I mean, I have people that come up to me and say, your music helped me through a really bad time or through a divorce, and my music has helped me get through hard times.
So in 2006, when you were going through breast cancer and through a breakup, I mean, your music was therapeutic to you?
It was and it wasn't. I mean, I didn't sit down and write for about a year after that because I made a pact with myself that I was going to actually experience what was happening in my life as opposed to going to my work. Whatever your work looks like, sometimes we hide in our work and we bury ourselves in staying busy as opposed to actually experiencing pain or sadness or whatever. And then you wind up just carrying that around with you and not ever, being able to work your way through it. So my relationship to my music was something I came to after I'd gone through my radiation treatment and I'd been on the road and I got enough distance from it to feel like, okay, I want to go right now.
Right.
Yeah. So,
well,
but listening to music, that definitely always helps.
They're waving that I got to wrap this up, but I got a couple more things I have to ask you.
I have a date at Starbucks.
All right. Well, your coffee's... I want you to tell me about this new music you're working on.
It's so great.
And let's start with the video.
Okay.
And
I got to make out with the cutest guy ever. I'm kind of disappointed he didn't call me after the video.
I was going to ask you, because you were saying everybody thinks you're together with someone. In that video, here you are. If you haven't seen it yet, you got to go to the webpage, keyword, and look it up under Sheryl Crow. Because here's the thing. You're sitting on the floor barefoot, just strumming your guitar, singing. You're adorably cute anyway.
Well, thank you. And then that looks so good on radio.
And then you got this guy in his T-shirt. And it's a guy you're going to recognize.
Okay, that's the guy who played Smith.
I know who he is.
Sex and the City, ladies.
So is he like the hot thing? I mean,
he is precious and darling and smart.
What's his name? I try to forget it. You can't remember.
Oh my God!
I love it.
I do. I can't.
This is absolute proof. There's nothing going on between the two of them.
No, there is not. And I really totally enjoyed working with him. He was great. I can't remember his name. That makes me mad. But I got to tell you, I have a terrible memory. Do you remember his name? I want to call him Smith. I'm sorry. His name's Smith.
You just broke his ego like you wouldn't believe. He's probably hearing this going, man.
I know.
All right, well.
No wonder he hasn't called me. I couldn't remember his name.
The song is, it's easy, and it's all about, blowing off that expensive trip and staying home, which the travel
And
agents
drinking beer and eating pork rinds in your backyard.
right.
People.
That's as country as you get.
Well, actually, you know what? It sounds country, but when I was a kid growing up, I can remember my parents sitting in the front yard in lawn chairs and drinking beer, and we'd watch cars go by. I live in a really small town, and everybody that drove by you always knew, and that's what everybody did.
Right.
Now I have 2 kids. I am on the road a lot, and when we're not working, we are in the backyard. I mean,
Right.
We have a swimming pool, but my kids would rather play.
But
on
hold
a
on for a
slip and
second.
slide.
But your backyard is 150 acres now. So,
No, that's my old farm.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and it was a working farm. I probably wouldn't have sat in the backyard of that place. I would have been gotten eaten by horse flies.
how long have you been living in Nashville?
Going on 8 years.
Wow. All right. Well, it's home now. And is it true? Is it true that Brad Paisley really was he the reason, or would you have just gone into country anyway?
He was. I mean, he was really supportive of this idea. I was newly out of a record label. Our kids play together, and Nashville's funny. Everywhere you turn is a great songwriter, a great performer. It's a very small community, and I've had a lot of people be very supportive of my going and making a record, and for the country format. And so when Brad came up to me and said, "Look, this is your home. You need to come home now." That's what he kept saying. "You need to come home now. Make a record. This is your format." So I said, if you'll help me and support me and endorse me and just help me steer my way through it so that I can do it in a way that people feel like it's authentic and that I belong here, then I would love to do it.
You guys need to do a song together, too.
I know.
You really do.
I know.
You knocked it out with Kid Rock, and now you got to bang it with Brad Paisley.
Yeah, I think, if the record does well enough, he'll want me to do that.
Come on, F. What do you mean when? Come on, when? Go over and bang on his door. You know where he lives.
I do know where he lives.
Sure, of course you do. And Kimberly would be glad to have you over.
They are actually my best friends.
Yeah, they're sweet. They really are. All right, now look, so the album, when does it come out?
It comes out in September. September 10th is the drop date.
Okay.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah. Well,
drop date, that's the lingo. It's called Feels Like Home. Can I say that?
You can say whatever you...
I cannot say that.
Oh, she just said it. So what? So
I don't know. Maybe it's not called that.
So if you go to SherylCrow.com right now, all you can see is the video for the single. We love Easy, though, and you wrote that. Did you write most of the songs on the album?
Yes.
Yeah. All of them, I should say.
No, I didn't. There's a song on there called Calling Me When I'm Lonely, which I think actually might be a single, which I love, that I did not write, and also a song called Homecoming Queen by Brandy Clark, who a lot of people will know her music, her and Shane McAnally.
Now, I know your 3-year-old probably doesn't get it yet, but the 6-year-old's probably singing along with you already.
He is. My 6-year-old is kind of cool with it now. I mean, there was a time when he's like, "No, mommy, no play music, no," because it was work to him. My 3-year-old is like, "It's too loud. No, I don't want it." So I think he'll get into it when it's about him. He loves dancing, loves being on stage.
Well, it's awesome meeting Sheryl Crow and hearing the music, and we look forward to big things. And Brad Paisley will be wanting to sing with you.
Oh,
he
that's
doesn't
so
already.
sweet.
He's crazy.
We've done a lot together. So, yeah.
All right, Sheryl Crow.
All right, thank you so much, Michael J.